Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Always.
you know
Okay.
what? Don't worry about it. I'm going to reorientate us all so that we're all the right way when this starts.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. All right. Well, now that we have oriented ourselves properly, cheers. Morning.
Morning. So for everyone tuning in, we typically do these in the evening, close to night, whatever the case may be. We rarely do these in the
It
morning.
usually looks like this on my screen.
But you're getting fresh Prattes morning. You're getting Alexander morning. And you're definitely Gorski. Let me see Gorski. Gorski says
looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Does he?
Let me bring up.
Yeah.
He does. Gorski
I got ready real quick. Chilling at the house.
Fantastic. How's mom, dude?
Mom is real good.
That's amazing.
Good. Yeah.
I was so happy when I saw that photo.
Yeah.
My heart was like,
I don't know. It felt really good. I'm going to spend all day today and tomorrow with them, with my mom, and my stepdad. So I'm very excited for it. Long time coming.
He was just saying right before you jumped on, which, by the way, did you just break into your house? Brandon sent a text to the group chat 2 minutes, like not even 2 minutes before, 2 minutes after we were supposed to start. Y'all, I locked myself out of my bedroom. Give me a second. I'm gonna need a minute.
The answer is yes. The answer is I stay ready, because if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Hey.
Okay? We just got through a pandemic and a potential zombie apocalypse. You got to stay ready. Okay?
Boy.
That means leaving your window unlocked and knowing how to shimmy, and get your screen off so you can get what you got to get going.
Do you guys have a chimney? Because that's always my go-to.
We do have a chimney.
Tell me you've done that before.
We do have a chimney.
See, there we go. You'll never be locked out again. You're welcome. Just keep the flue open. It's a whole thing. Anyway,
Keep the flue open.
I'd love to be that person walking a dog and just looking. Someone's like sneaking in through the chimney.
Christmas in July.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It may not go as well with a black guy just randomly climbing through a chimney in LA, where it's like, what's he do?
in the
Does he
morning.
belong over
The nice
there?
thing there is that you're also a cowboy, so it's going to be way more confusing that a cowboy is climbing into a chimney than like a random black guy on a house. So don't worry, you got yourself covered.
The cops come up. There's like, I have so many questions.
Yeah, then by that time you'll have down the chimney. Also, you're going to want to tape some kind of lubricant to the side of the chimney.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic. Great lead up to this horseback riding date later. Just
it's all connected.
Chimney, lube, cowboy hat. It's what you need. Speaking of cowboy hats, not the lube or anything else, but I will say this: my cowboy hat, my cowboyness did get me out of a speeding ticket.
Nice.
No, dude, I was on the freeway burning it from a rodeo. And I was going like, I wasn't paying attention. I had my music blasting. Next thing I know, whoop, 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 whoop. We get pulled over, right? Go off this shoulder. And literally, I roll my window down and I watch the cop go, oh, shit. I was like, what? He's like, you're a cowboy. I was like, yeah. He was like, where are you coming from? Like, we're coming from a rodeo. He's like, that's fucking amazing. He's like, I don't even want to give you a ticket. Like, just slow down.
That was it.
That was the perfect
That
answer
was it.
too. From now on, that's what you answer, Brandon. You also, that's why we all keep our hats right there on the back window. Is you just reach up and just put it on.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Mind you, Colt, this is 2 hours after our cop conversation.
Yeah.
This is literally the same day.
Because I knew it was your. I figured since that was your first rodeo, like you weren't running to like multiple rodeos. Oh yeah, your first rodeo. Look at that. Hey. I think
this morning.
I told you guys the story of the car, right? The 67 Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
Getting pulled over.
Oh.
Not getting pulled over in it. No.
Oh, okay. All right. So
you told us a story.
I told you.
Yeah.
I told you the
leaving it.
Goodbye.
Literally leaving it.
Okay. Yeah. I told you the goodbye of it. I was working in Denver, and course line tour. It's my second tour out of college, and I really wanted to buy a Mustang. I really wanted a 67 fastback. Ended up getting a 67 Sprint Mustang, still great. But I bought it off Craigslist because I'm impatient, and I bought it in a parking garage for $4,000 cash. There was no license, the bill of sale was a napkin. There was no registration. The guy literally went to the back of the car and was like, "Oh, you're gonna want this." Took out a napkin and wrote a bill of sale, and then handed it to me. Said, "This will work. This is fine." You could see the floorboards going by, like the road going by, because the floorboard, like the footwell in the passenger side was rusted out. So we leave Denver and we're going to Los Angeles, but I wanted to go to Vegas because I had never been. So I'm driving through the Rockies in the middle of the night, and I get pulled over. Come to find out, the speedometer doesn't work either. Didn't know that, obviously. Officer comes up to the window, looks in, goes, "Son, you know how fast you were going?" I said, "I honestly don't. The speedometer doesn't work." He goes, "All right, you were going 45 miles an hour." He said, "I need you to see this from my perspective. You're going 45 miles an hour in the middle of the night in the Colorado Rockies, and you are wearing a cowboy hat, a robe, and cowboy boots. I need you to help me out. You have no registration for this vehicle. You have no clue where you are.
Oh my God.
Help me out a little." And luckily, before I had taken off, I called my mom to tell her I bought the car, and she was like, "You have to get insurance for this car." And so I called insurance, and the officer talked to the insurance officer and was like, the amount of paperwork, just go figure it out, and sent me on my way. So the whole thing, full circle, second time, my bad, is cowboy hats. Everybody get a cowboy hat.
Get a cowboy. Cops like cowboys.
Moral of the story.
Keep it in the car.
When you're driving, always.
Flashlight.
Works way better if you have a truck.
Right. Cowboy hat. That's what you need.
Gotta have your emergency cowboy hat ready to go.
That's it.
Okay. So,
oh my God. By the way, John, do you have one?
I do not.
That's done.
Done. Come on.
Done.
Out. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Okay. So, John, I feel bad because we spent the first 20 minutes shooting the shit, and now I'm like, okay, my topic. We've got you for 40 more minutes.
Yeah.
Let's knock this out. Okay. So,
yeah.
What I wanted to talk about that's kind of a three-parter. What is the man that you want to see in the world? What are you falling short of on that front? Like, where do you fall short of being the person that you want to see in the world? And what do you do to help yourself become that, like to overcome those issues? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I wanted to throw out there. And that's why I feel bad that we only have 40 minutes. I was like, John, just John. We'll do this in 3 episodes. John in this one, Brandon. We're just focusing on you in this one.
Well,
that's it, dude.
Before we jump in, I'm curious what brought the topic up.
Well, it was 2 things. One, last week when we were talking, there was a part that towards the end where you kind of spoke on a couple of things. It was one of your times where you were just dunking on everybody. And I thought about it then, and like I wanted to write it down, but you were talking and I was like, shit, I just want to watch this. So I want to listen to this. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't take a second to write it down. And so today I was rewatching the episode with Ange, and I was kind of like kicking it back and forth. And she said that. She was like, well, like, what about who's the man you want to be in the world? And as we kind of tossed that back and forth, then I said, well, the irony of it, or I think she may have said this, but the irony of it is that we all kind of have a general standard of, who we in the world, who we hope to be in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So what's far more interesting to me is, how do you fall short of that? And then more importantly than that, how do you help yourself pick back up? How do you work on that? Because the important thing is not for us to be like, hey, this is what the perfect man is, or what the perfect man in the world would look like. It's the people watching this aren't interested in that. We all have our versions of that and our general idea of that. What's important is, okay, this is how I fail at this, and this is when I fail, how I help myself get past it. Or the larger question, which is sometimes going to be, I don't know how to get past this. I don't know how to get past this. And hopefully someone watching doesn't know how to get past this, and watching this may find a way through. So I thought it would be a useful topic, but yeah, that's how it came about.
All right. I like it. I think for me, the one that comes up is what I would like to see more, and I think it's happening, is the vulnerability of really what we're going through and speaking up of what we really want. I think I've talked with you guys before about, like, in the past I've had moments where, and I still deal with it, of just like seeking validation or seeking approval. And so I won't say what I'm really feeling or what I'm really thinking, because part of me thinks like, oh, if I really tell them I want it this way, or if I what's really coming up, if they bothered me or they hurt my feelings or whatever it is, that might push them away. And so I restrict or confine what I'm really feeling, so that way I don't run into that kind of issue. And so more and more lately, I'm just finding myself in situations where I have to be honest, or I'm repeating past situations where in the past I wasn't fully honest, and now I'm like pushing myself there. But I'm being honest with that fact, like, I don't know if this is going to insult you, or I don't know if I'm going to do this right. I might say this wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyways. And I, like, an example was with one of my roommates, with G. Just something good, just living with roommates. You eventually have like little bump-ins and stuff like that. And I had not brought this up for a couple of months. And I found, I was like, hey, I want to talk about something. And it was something as simple as just like cleaning or something. I forget what it was, but I was just like, I'm not sure how to bring this up, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to say what has come up for me, and then we'll go from there. And I explained the whole thing, and she was very receptive. And then she was like, well, why is it so hard for you to bring this up to me? And I was like, honestly, there's a part of me that has this fear that if I tell you what I'm really feeling, that you're going to leave. And I really care about you, and I really love our friendship that we've built. But there's something in me that still has this fear that people are going to abandon me. And I've had a few things in the past couple of weeks where it's just like, it's not that anyone has abandoned me, but like a buddy of mine dropped off out of a project, and that brought up something in me. I'm like, oh, someone's leaving. And so speaking up, because I usually wouldn't speak up about like those abandonment issues, the fear coming up. And so I would kind of pull back and not be as real of what was coming up. And now I'm like, lately I'm pushing myself. And even two days ago, I had a conversation with a friend where I gave her kind of like a half-assed answer of me like trying to date this other girl, or like be interested in this other girl. I'm like, no, that's not really happening. And I came back like 5 minutes later. I'm like, yo, I wasn't being honest there. I'm going to be honest now that, yeah, I'm like interested in possibly dating that girl, or interested in it. And I didn't say it. And I told her, I was like, I didn't say it because I have fear that that's going to push you away. But at the same time, like, I don't see anything happening right now. So I'm going to go focus somewhere else. And I remember just being like, my hands like slightly shaking, because I'm like, oh shit, like I'm fucking speaking up. And I remember walking away and just like, fuck yeah, I'm proud of myself for speaking up, even though it's such a small thing. That's not my go-to. And so being able to just be more honest with what's coming up without the fear of, will this affect the other person? Because I'm usually always putting the other person before me. I'm usually putting on the other person's feelings, or the other person's, are they going to be uncomfortable that I'm bringing this up? And then I started thinking to myself, I'm choosing to make the situations that they're not uncomfortable, I'm taking on the uncomfortable. I'm choosing not to hurt their feelings, but I'm sitting and hurting my feelings. And I'm like, why am I putting myself second? And I'm like, no, this gets to change.
How common is that though? Isn't that one of the, it's one of the hardest parts of love right there, right? To put yourself first. Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's huge.
A work in progress.
But I love that. I love that. That's huge, especially because we're privy to conversations outside of here, and know that is a really, really big deal for you. Mm-hmm. Good on you, man.
Thank you. What about you guys?
Brandon?
I'm just sitting here kind of thinking to myself, it's rare for someone to do a back-to-back where you're just on fire.
Right.
You know, I just want to acknowledge and recognize that there's something happening here. You're becoming one of the greats in the sport, and you've got a bright future, kid. You've got a fantastic future. Also, I wanted to scream "fuck yes" because I think I know what you're talking about, but I could be so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like,
No,
in the words in the words of Colt Prattes, "Good on you." Good on you, sir. Because there's something about that permission and ownership where you know you have this lingering thing that you know already has a resolution, but because of its entirety and its experience, it's weird because you don't want to bring up something that could ruin the potential or possibility of what could be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Isn't that weird? But
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the abandonment. It's like, how can I hold on to you so you've already left. They've already told you they don't want it or they don't, but you, for some reason in your head, when I say you, I'm really speaking to me, you in your head have created this possibility of like, but maybe if, okay, cool, right. But that's now. So maybe let's just give it some time. And a year from now, if I don't, I gotta play it cool because it's just there. It'll be there, and maybe we'll make out again, or maybe this will happen, or maybe whatever happened, and boom. That's something I've done to myself and have pulled back from walking in and owning my truth. Right? There's something about the integrated man, and that's what I wanted to go to. That's what I want to see in the world is the integrated man. Right? I am a whiskey drinking, cowboy boot wearing, crying, sobbing, animal loving guy. There's integration of what was, what is, and what will be. Right? There's the primal primitive man who's like a survivalist and did what humanity has done for generations. Right? I will go outside right now and I will build a fire from scratch if I have to. I will go hunt if I have to. I will not bat an eye because I have to live. I have to survive. I want to provide for my family. I will do anything for my kids. My kids are my dogs and my horse. I will do anything, right, to provide for them. That's something I think we see in some men, and we almost kind of innately in us say, he's not providing. What's his deal? He's not being a man. For a good amount of people, okay? It's a general, and I'll probably get flack for it because that's not what men. No. I think a good amount of people, a chunk of society believes that men are providers. And I feel that feels good to me. That feels amazing to me. Like my hands were made to build. My mind was used to create strategies and ways to create a life for someone, right? Like God gave Adam an assignment, like go and name all the animals, like walk with me in the cool of the day and talk with me. I'm going to give you purpose and mission and all these things. And I'm going to send you a helper. That wasn't Eve's job, according to the Bible. Eve's job was not to come help name animals and help do anything. I'm going to send you I'm going to send you a best friend to enjoy all of this with. But you're made to use your hands and to use your body and to use what you've got that I've given you to create a life. So I believe there's that. And then the integration is taking that feminine, the rib that was pulled from us, which was the emotional, the sensitive, the empathic side of us. That's what the rib was, right? That's what I believe a lot of men miss because they've been told that I have to be so in the primitive and so in the survival side that showing signs of tears and weakness would make you weak. Then you will be dominated, or you would be ran over, be pushed over by the world, other men, women, work, worries, struggles, pain. So show no signs of weakness. Therefore, do not cry. Therefore, do not show emotion. Do not say that I'm hurting. Do not say that I don't have the answer. Do not say that I can't find a job right now. Do not say I'm depressed. Because you have to show strength all the time. And I don't believe that's healthy. Integration is healthy, right? So that's how we create the man of the future that is willing to go out, take his kids to the woods, go hiking for 6-7 days, whatever, camp, build stuff, gather, whatever the heck. Come back and be able to sit down and ask their kids, how are you doing today? Like, how are you really doing today? Well, this and this and this, and that hurt. That hurt. Okay, why does that hurt? Right? The most beautiful stories are when I hear someone talk about their dad and they say, you know, the person I love talking to the most is my dad. Whenever someone says that, there's something in me that's like, that's it. Like there's a gift we have to offer the world of our love and the way we listen and our patience. You know, the world is in this place where they want to blur lines, and they want to muddle things together, and they want to put everyone in the no. I am a man. I am a man. I love being a man. Don't take that away from me. Don't take that sign out of the department store. Don't take that sign off of that bathroom. Don't take that whatever the may be, because you think that we just got to a place where we started to accept masculinity. Now you're saying you want to get rid of the label and title of it? No. I'm going to fight for this. I'm proud to be this. I love being this. I am this. We need more of this. But if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. It may be hard, and some people may not want to hear what I have to say right now, but we need men. We need men. So that's my sorry, I got a little there, but yeah.
Well, I think we should do these in the morning way more often. You guys are popping.
Yeah, that was great. I think you.
All right, let's watch you do it.
Well, I think I just want to add one quote before you go. I love how you explained it, because I think the way you just explained masculinity, I think, is what we need to be looking at. Because I think the whole phrase of toxic masculinity has taken over for the word masculinity.
Yeah, man.
Defining masculinity separate from, there are toxic aspects to it, and there are people who use what the word masculinity is. The same thing with, it's like, I don't know, we've seen just certain words just go in a different direction. But I think how you just explained it was beautiful. I think it is something that we need to see more. I love what you just said.
It's interesting when we get on these rides where we're unintentionally, for lack of a better term, like in the same mental cycle, where we're just, you know, John, you started talking. Sorry, Jon Gorski. You started talking, and the first thing that you said was, you know, I think that there's, you know, we should be pushing for this sensitivity, you know, like we should push that ability to be open. And my immediate reaction, not, you know, jarringly, but like this thing that's been in the back of my mind that I've been exploring with Ange and some of my other friends, is exactly what Brandon ended up talking about. Is it's always, caveats seems to be my word that I'm going to lately, but yes, we need to be able to be open emotionally, but also we need to be able to, I mean, as Brandon said, provide. But I just think that it's kind of like a pacifist, right? I think I've said the Bruce Lee quote on here before. You know, he's teaching his students. One of his students comes up to him and says, you know, Master, or Sensei, why do you teach us peace? Or teach us fighting, but tell us to be pacifists? And he says, I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? And it led me to this thought of, what I don't understand is, if you're a pacifist, but you're not capable of violence, are you a pacifist?
Right.
Because what are you quelling?
Right.
And I think that there's something really beautiful to what both of you are saying, which unintentionally, you know, by being the kind of third side of this triangle, like I got to see both parts. You're talking about really getting down to that emotional level and really dealing with that, and Brandon's talking about this very physical, also emotional thing. And I think the integrative is a really great word to use for it, because I think we've kind of gotten away from, how do I say this, what we talked about last week. We put everything in the cage and we go, that's bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. We have to figure out when things are useful. And I think the man that I want to see in the world is very in many ways, and I've said this never on here, but I've said this. This was my go-to about my dad for a long time. My dad is one of the best men I've ever seen in the world, unless it comes to relationships. Then just fucking ball drop, like terrible. He's gotten incredibly better, and he's worked really hard. He was dealing with a million other things, but as far as just a man who could be a man in the very traditional sense, I mean, literal Marine, police officer, going out protecting, hunting, and he's got this. So he's got a bobcat, right? He's got a bobcat on the mantle. It was up in the cabin where I grew up, or where he was living when I grew up, and I asked him one day, I asked him about hunting because I had just gone hunting for the first time. And again, like Brandon said, for food only. And I said something about, I'd love to go hunting with you. He said, buddy, I don't hunt anymore. And I said, why? He said, I don't need to. He said, if I need to, I can go out. And he's gone hunting a couple of times, but he'll take a camera. He's like, if I can get a shot off with a camera, get the right picture, he said, I can easily get the right shot off and take that animal's life. He said, but I don't need to. He said, when I shot that bobcat, I realized I did not need that animal's life. I didn't need to take that animal's life. I got to see it, and he ended up having it stuffed and put up. And what I think a lot of people do that for is to look at it and be like, look what I did, man, look what I did. And it was this very cool thing that suddenly flipped my entire perception of my dad, because suddenly he wasn't looking at it for any reason other than to remind himself, do not take a life that you do not need to take. And that kind of introspection, while having the ability to pacify violence, that was something that I looked at and said, I want that. I want that ability. I want the ability to be able to be something dangerous and to not be, to actively choose not to be that.
Yeah.
To have Rowdy in the cage and to go, hey, if we need you, I will come get you. But until then, I am capable of these other things. And so, yeah, I really, really like a lot of what you said, Brandon. One of the things that taught me, though, that I've got to say, is using a tool. And I know we've kind of gotten off the topic, but like I said, it'll take 3 episodes. We'll all hit on it at some point. Was watching Angelina blur those lines of, like, our relationship is built off of, I obviously, because I'm physically stronger, pick up the heavier stuff, but she doesn't fucking slouch. Like, she picks up, like, she's the one helping me move stuff when we need to move. We don't call movers. I don't have a male friend come over. She's capable. Now, I've told you before, she installed a door one time in the house where there wasn't a door before. Like, I love that she is capable, but she also, there are certain things that she's like, no, I need you to do this, and vice versa. But I think that one of the beautiful things about that integrative concept is being integrative across the board in your relationship. Of, there are times when I am the strong one, and there are times when I'm the emotional one. There's times when she's the strong one, and there's times when she's the emotional one. And I like that. I like that she doesn't always expect me to take care of everything, because she is more than capable of doing it, which means it's that much more important when she comes and asks me.
Yeah.
It's a kind of extension of this pacifist by choice idea. When she chooses to need me, when she actually needs me, then I feel capable, as opposed to just being expected to do things just cuz. I like that there's a genuine need, and that I am capable of fulfilling those needs.
That needs, yeah.
So I think that is a job that I really enjoy, and it took me a long time to step into that role and to understand that that's something that I want. Which circles back to, John, how hard is it for us to accept that there are things that we want, but a lot of times I think that as men, we look out to society, especially men of our generation, especially men in the, like, whether performing arts or the like events, like as you're in the event space, I feel like you're around creative people in LA a lot. It's, you know, we're all well dressed, not maybe at the moment.
We still
We're
look
all,
good though, baby. Don't get it twisted. We still look good, baby. You know what I'm saying?
but
You know what
I
I'm saying?
think there's this kind of, suddenly there was a place mentally and emotionally where a lot of us took a step back and we're like, fuck toxic masculinity, fuck that whole idea. But I don't think we really wanted to say goodbye to it so much. I think maybe back to that abandonment issue caused a lot of us to kind of be like, wait, hold on. Anger bad, masculine bad, but I like masculine. How do I do this?
Right.
I think accepting the things that you do want to do, like simultaneously, like this integrative thing. I'm gonna steal that, integrative masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think also there's a lot of it is honesty. I think this is where we haven't been taught, like, honestly what's coming up, or honestly this is what I'm thinking, or just allowing ourselves to speak what truly is coming up for us and saying it out loud. I remember I got angry with a friend. And I was just like, I have not grown up. I know one of the reasons she had brought up, oh, I've never really seen you angry. And I'm like, because I don't know what healthy angry looks like. I only know what unhealthy angry looks like. And that side of me is not a good side of me. So I don't let it out. And but that, like you were saying, I made anger bad and pushed it down. But what I realized wasn't anger is not a bad thing. It's just because I've seen unhealthy and how in the past I would show anger. I was like, okay, only bad things happened when I showed anger. What I didn't realize is that there's a healthy way of expressing, hey, I'm angry about this. I'm angry at you for this. And having that discussion without yelling and name calling, or manipulating words so that you're causing pain to the other person. Because there's a way of expressing anger and being like, this is why I'm angry. And there's a way of expressing anger where it's like, I feel pain and I'm going to make you feel pain now. Yes. And that's what I just saw growing up, because I would see it through I saw like pieces from different people. I didn't have I've mentioned before, like my dad he was there through a phone. He wasn't there where I could see him. So I never got to see how to have a conversation and talking about anger. So I piecemeal from different people, and I saw anger as you yell at the person and you get them to feel what you're feeling. And then I realized, oh no, that's actually not how anger is supposed to be. And that's when I suppressed. And I was like, okay, I can't really say what I'm feeling because I don't know how to do it properly. And now I'm expressing where I'm like, I'm going to say what's coming up. I'm probably going to say in the wrong way that might be insulting or might hurt, but I'm going to be present to it and trying to become, as Brandon was saying, an integrated man, where it's just like, no, this is how I want to show up. I'm going to be honest with what I'm feeling, and I'm not doing it in spite of you. I'm doing it in the growth of me, kind of thing.
I like that. Come on.
Well, I mean, what I'm playing with here is first outer perspective, right? Like someone looking into a situation, and it's funny because we're talking about how we express anger and how we label anger as bad, but I think part of that is tied to what perception we've ever had of an argument we've seen or how anger was displayed to someone. But often I don't think we're realizing we're looking at it from the victim's standpoint, the person taking the brunt of the anger. So now I think you see, we don't ever try and say, wait a minute, is this person playing a game like the other person? Is this other person like poking and coaxing and whatever the case may be? Because all we see is the angry person. So we say, I don't want to be that. But we're missing the other side of this, which is, what is this other person doing? Like, what is this other person? Because anger itself is not bad, but it's now labeled bad because of how someone may be responding to it. This is just a devil's advocate moment, right? Like, Because there were times my mom and I talked about this later in life. I said, Mom, you were difficult in a lot of situations to people for no reason. You were looking for a fight. So you would push and you would push and you would push and you would push and you would push until he had no choice but to explode, because my first stepdad was physically abusive. So now you have a habit of, if there's no chaos, if there's no argument, if there's no anger, this does not mean we're in love. This is not me. I need this. I need the tension. So I started to stop looking at it as the men were bad. And my mom was creating the scenarios for the man to be pushed to his limit of, I don't want to be angry, but you're pushing me. You're looking for something to be angry about. You're in my face. And now I'm responding because I've had it enough. And now to her, she's got what she's wanted. Right. So I stopped looking at it as men were bad and anger was bad. I stopped looking at it that way. And it was more about, how do we relationally handle certain things and handle the person that we may be in confrontation with, right? Because if someone were to ask this girl that I dated 2 years ago, that I went on a date for Valentine's Day to Disneyland with, she would say I was a complete asshole, not a gentleman. I treated her like shit, not knowing the full story. And they were oh my God, not Brandon, but why Brandon? Well, because this, and this. Oh, I can see that. Never hearing my side of the story. I think that's what's happened to men. Is you're getting one story, one side of the story. And that's why I think we've changed our relationships with our dads, really, Colt. I mean, John, I don't know if you've talked about this with your dad, but like, I stopped seeing my dad as this narrative, and when I got to know the man, and I was like, oh shit, I get a lot of this. Like, I get why we didn't have certain calls, why I didn't do certain things with you. I get it now as an adult. You're not as bad as I thought you were. That's not an excuse. We talked about this the other day. Yeah, you said this quote, right? Sure. Reason versus excuse. There's no excuse. But now I have better understanding of the decisions that you've made.
Yeah.
Right. So I did. I've tackled a lot of things where, when I was a kid, my mom dated when she was in between marriages. My mom's been married, I think, like 3 or 4 times. And then she's had, and when I say married, I'm not talking like extended amounts of time. Like, she's got a husband, but she would date. And she and I dealt with this. I'm sorry, this is a little long-winded, but she and I tackled this. I started to paint a picture of men based off of solely what she was sharing with me, because I was her son. Mm-hmm. Now, Mr. Nice Guy talks about this, I believe, which is like a man and his mom have to tackle their relationship and how close they are, because it can become perverted, and it can get out of hand and get out of line. But she would share stuff with me. So now every guy she's talking to me about, or every guy that I'm seeing her have experiences with, is bad. So now men are bad in my eyes. It took a lot of work to start to see the other side of the coin. It took a lot of work to realize, oh, you ended it. Oh, you wanted it to end. Oh, you were projecting. Oh, you were looking for something. Oh, you found something. Oh, whatever, in certain scenarios, to where now the way I saw that man before, it's like, oh, maybe he was a good guy, but he never fucking had a chance and didn't know he didn't have a chance, because you had never dealt with the fact that my stepfather would beat the living daylights out of you. You never dealt with it. You still haven't dealt with it. We, my late stepdad, the one that passed away in 2015, right before I went to Magic Mike, I'll never forget this moment. I was in Texas, and they went for a walk, and they just started to do stuff together as a couple. She would complain about, he doesn't want to do stuff with me. He doesn't want to go anywhere with me. He just wants to work on the car, mow the grass, sit on the couch, and cook. That's it. He's ex-military, of course. So they went for a walk, and what seemed like a really good walk, they came back. And all I hear is arguing downstairs. I'm like, why the fuck are they arguing like this? It's getting to the point to where I start to get anxiety, because I know the tone shift. And he starts calling her crazy. She's like, don't you fucking call me crazy. And she starts putting her finger in his face. She's like, get your finger out of my face, Stephanie. Get your finger out of my face, Stephanie. So I'm walking down the stairs slowly. One thing leads to another. She says something to him and stands in front of him in front of the fridge. And he's still trying to open the fridge while she's in front of it. And now she's like, oh, you gonna open the fridge on me? And he's yanking. He's a big guy. He was like 6'2", 215, solid muscle. Older guy though, but he's still pretty strong. So he's trying to open the fridge. He's like, Stephanie, get out of my way. Stephanie, get out of my way. Next thing I know, he grabs her arm and moves her out of the way of the fridge. And I say, don't you fucking put your hands on my mom. But I remember thinking to myself, why did she push it to that point? I remember that. Like, why did she push whatever the argument was where she felt like she had to stand in front of the refrigerator and she had to put her finger in his face? Why did she have to push it to that point? Because now, being her son, I have to step in. Mm-hmm. There's no way I'm going to sit here and just let this happen, right? For your marriage too. Like, I went outside. I said, listen, T, listen, man, I love you, but we gotta figure something out. Like, you know, I don't know if you want to go to a hotel for the night or something, but like, she has a past with abuse, and you know this, and you made a promise when you got married you would never put your hands on her, and now you have. You know, just go to the hotel for the night, figure it out. And he went to the hotel for the night, and you know, I think like a week later, but I told him, I said, listen, man, I'm not mad at you, but I'm also like, you crossed the line. You definitely let her provoke you to a point to where you did put your hands on her. And I talked to her later, like, why did you push him to that point? Like, why were you so needing to get this response out of him that you pushed him to that point? So that's why I say that the whole anger thing in Men and Bad, like I really started to shift the way I see it, because there's always there may be a provoker. So that's a long-winded way of
no, I dig it. There's two things I want to cover because I know we gotta get Jon out of here. So one is the two doors I want to close are manipulation and I'll deal with that one and then we'll come to the other one. Oh, manipulation and perspective. So manipulation, I think that we've talked about this a little bit with dating, with games, right?
Yeah.
When you're playing that game, and really, I wanted to talk about this from earlier, Jon, but I talked for like 30 minutes. So, but Jon, you were talking about, and both of you touched on, okay, well, what about the future? Well, what if they come back? What if? And there's a great John Mayer lyric. He's openly said in interviews, it's the saddest lyric that he ever wrote. And I don't know the exact lyric, but it has to do with he, like, after a big breakup, he keeps a bottle of her shampoo just in case she comes back and wants to wash her hair so that she can see that he didn't give up. And that's the thing. Like, we hold on to this concept of, I want you to know that I didn't give up. Even if we've moved on in this concept of, well, I'm moving on. I do have a secret box. And how many times do we see that in relationships? Well, I got a secret box of your shit because I'm so romantic. I've kept this. So you're not actually moving on, but you're not letting go. So you're half here, you're half here. Yeah. It's this absolutely terrible manipulative thing where you're not actually committing to anything. And I really appreciate that, Jon, you took that stand with both of your roommates in different, regards, and just said, look, I've got to put me first. And really what you're saying is, I have to stop manipulating you so that you'll do what I hope that you'll do. Right? So when we finally put someone else put ourselves genuinely first, when we're finally genuinely self-aware, we can start going, okay, this is what I need to live my life, because I can't just sit here and fucking slowly die so that you'll be happy. But I think that we've kind of had that unintentionally fed to us a lot of times. Well, you've got to sacrifice. And in our course that's coming up, PS website's coming out soon.
Woohoo!
And you get free course when you sign up.
Don't forget to show the mug. You gotta show the mug.
Sorry, Part of Love mugs available on the website.
Yeah.
I'll move my face and maybe there we go.
Boom.
Look at that.
Looks good.
But she's got a really great saying in there. She says, if we can't feel our feelings, like, we've been taught to avoid so many things, to avoid feeling our feelings. But if we can't feel our feelings, you can't trust your intuition. So you know what you need, right? You know what you want. I believe that we genuinely know much more of what we want and need than we let on. And we just shove it down. We shove it down because we didn't told you. And I'm proud of you for not doing that. The other one is perspective. And I know I'm skimming these, but Brendan, you were just saying, you know, the aggression thing. Yes, it's constantly tied to men. I think it's a matter of perspective, but I also think that anti-tribalism or non box definitions is a really necessary step for us to take moving forward. Like there are like, you know, traditional man this, traditional woman this, or, you know, like man, woman, and then great. But I really do think that when we get into these overly generalized, hyper generalizations of, well, men bad or men good or men this, or, you know, that's, I think, where the problem is, because you really have to take it on a case by case basis. And we're not good at that as human beings. We're not good at looking at every situation and going, okay, so we start generalizing, and it's for safety, right? It's for our fight or flight. It's to protect ourselves. We go, well, I've seen this coming a million times before. I'm not going to do that again. But then we hyper generalize and we go, someone who looks like this will do this. Someone who says that will be this. Someone who hunts, someone who says that they want to be a man and like being a man, well, they are assholes and they hate everybody. And it's not that. There's so much more to this, and this conversation, I think, is going to extend past the time limit that we have. So ... ellipses, dun dun dun, to be continued. John, get on out of here.
Yeah. So for the audience, real quick, while we still have everyone here, chime in. Like, we want to hear about the man you want to see in the world. This will be part one of, I believe, what would be a two-part series. I mean, Colt, thank you for today's topic. John, you drove this home with last week's episode. So I love this, and I am excited for part two, because there's a lot of things to unbox here around where we're currently at in the world, and with everything, right? With everything in the world right now, boxes and labels and things like that. So guys, just let us know in the comments, what is the man that you want to see in the world today? And tell us what that looks like.
Hey, all right. Fade out.